For him, that's right. And you have no control
And you have
because
no control.
Abraham didn't want to pay $700 a month for rent. But as a renter, you're within the boundaries of what the landlord says. He can raise that rent every year, and it could put you in a position where you can't afford to live there anymore.
No.
And so you have to move on. And I know myself, years and years ago, before I became a homeowner and all of that, I would rent a place and the rent would go up. Now I'm priced out. I got to move.
Yep.
And we moved periodically more than my kids probably were comfortable with, just so that we could stay in a comfort zone as far as rent I could afford. So, but when I purchased, I was more in control.
You're more stable.
More
you
stable.
You have more stability.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, purchasing a home creates stability.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It creates stability. It also creates wealth.
And it builds wealth.
It builds wealth.
And that's why we're talking about it today.
Yes.
It's a wealth builder.
It's a wealth builder. And especially if you have kids, that's, when it's all said and done, you have something for them. You give them a good start.
That's right.
Leave a legacy.
That's right. To leave a legacy.
Yes.
Yes. And it's about legacy. It's about what not only you can do for your children today, but what foundation you're leaving for them or setting for them for tomorrow. And they're watching us.
Oh, absolutely.
They're watching us. They want to know, they're going to make right decisions because we are making right decisions and because we're encouraging them.
Absolutely.
Yes. And then once you get started, once you get the purchase bug,
right,
and you start with your first property, whether it's if you start with your first property and it's residential,
yes,
the residential would definitely take you. And after you have maybe 2 or 3 properties, you would have learned.
Yes,
you would have now you know what to expect.
That's right.
And then it takes you into another arena.
That's right.
Where now you're looking at purchasing places that you go during your lunch hour, your fast foods, your Subways, now you're getting into commercial.
That's right.
You go to your Subways, you go to your Jack in the Box, you go to your McDonald's. Franchises of that arena as far as your commercial. Now the people that are coming to patronize your business.
Right.
Now you're collecting the rents.
That's right.
From places like that
that's
you
right.
frequent.
Yeah. And so that's what we're going to segue into now in this second half hour. I'm glad you brought that up. Is commercial side of things. We talked about single family, 1 to 4 units, and how you can get into those properties. And then in the second half, we're going to talk a little bit more. I know we're going to go kind of back and forth, but I wanted to get as much in as possible in this 1 hour. I feel like I'm running out of time.
I know.
But I wanted to get in. It's so much about commercial properties, that 5-unit property, and above. And how do we get into those?
Right. That's a great question. Typically, the natural pattern or the natural way that people get into those type of larger properties, they start off with the smaller ones.
That's right.
Right, because it's usually a more they require a larger down payment.
A progressive, yes.
Yeah, and so normally you would start with your one single family house or your duplex or fourplex, and then you leverage that because you have enough money, and you can sell that fourplex and do what's called a 1031 tax exchange.
Right.
Take that money and then you go buy a fourplex or a 5plex or a 12plex, and you also have to look at when you sit down with a professional, decide if you're going to go vertical, invest vertical or horizontal. Okay,
tell me what that means.
What does that mean? That's a great question. So if you're going to go vertical, you may want 10 units all in one building.
Okay.
If you're going to go horizontal, you may have 2 or 3 or 4 duplexes, but they still equal 10 units.
Right.
Right. So you're vertical.
Right.
I mean, you're horizontal.
You're horizontal.
And vertical, you just have all the units in one building.
In one building.
Right. So you have to decide which way you're going to go.
And talking to a professional helps. I mean, this is a great example of why you need to speak to a professional.
Yes.
Because I can't just willy-nilly walk down the street and see this 10-unit apartment building because it's on the corner of Fabulous Street and Economic Highway, and think I'm just going to go buy that. It's pretty.
Right.
It's filled with people.
Right.
I have a little bit of money. I'm just going to go buy that building. You have to meet with a professional to know whether it's going to cash flow for you.
Oh, absolutely. You need to know if it's going to cash flow or if there's sweat equity in there. You hear the terms, what you'll hear when you sit with a professional, you'll hear the word value play. What's the value play in that property? What's the cash flow in that
now,
property?
What is value play? Tell the
you want to know
listener
what the value is. Either you can, for example, I had a friend of mine buy a 47-unit apartment, and I know that's huge, but you can get to that level. That's not unrealistic.
Right.
It just takes a little bit of time and steps. But he bought a 47-unit apartment in Los Angeles, and what he noticed that the rents were all under market.
Okay.
So the value play for him was the rents.
Wow.
He raised the rents by $500. They were that much under market value
per unit.
Right? So that takes the price of that property.
The value
of that property goes up exponential.
That's right.
Right? So what he did was remodel, each unit.
Mm-hmm.
He painted the outside, realized that the previous owner had it for a long time, and that they really didn't raise the rents, right? Like they were scheduled to be raised.
And didn't do any upgrades
No
either.
upgrades,
right.
Deferred maintenance. That means they were not taking care of the property.
Right.
Paint was chipping, the roof was bad. There was a value play.
Wow.
And so he went in there, did the upgrades, and he's able to raise the rents by $500 per unit. If you multiply that times 47 units.
I just did, and that's hitting pay dirt.
That's pay dirt. So he was extremely. So you look for things like that. Sometimes you don't look for the obvious. If you already been investing and you have money and you're looking to invest in a type property, which is Manhattan Beach or certain parts of Torrance or Palo Verde, then you can do that as well.
Right.
You can do that, but you're not so much looking for looking at the actual appreciation,
right,
as opposed to the cash flow.
Exactly.
Right. You're looking for areas that are going to appreciate.
That's right.
In the areas that are more inner city and urban areas, you can get cash flow and you can get appreciation.
That's absolutely right.
Right. You can get both.
That's right.
So when you're looking at a 5-plex or a larger unit, the value play, you have to look at the big picture.
Oh, I'm so glad we have you on, Yolanda. You wanna?
I wanted to jump in. I wanted to say, Charliine, as you mentioned, and you're reiterating that it's important that you speak with a financial consultant as well as a trained professional realtor/broker that knows this investment side of the real estate. And it's important because, and Abraham, I know you could touch on this, is that you don't want to, even though you mentioned on Fabulous Avenue and how the properties are beautiful, what you don't want to do is go and buy Fabulous in a rent-controlled area.
That's right.
Because when you do that, you're not going to be able to gain that equity or gain the monies that you're looking to make from that residual income.
That's absolutely right.
If you're not able to raise the rents.
Exactly. So you have to have a professional with you so that you know what part of the city you're in, so that you know what is rent controlled, what isn't, where the values really are, what part of the city is growing.
Yes.
And becoming more valuable.
Yes.
Those quiet secrets, that are all over the country, not just here in LA, but all over the country. There are these pockets that, real estate agents and brokers know about that are growing, and they see that 5-year growth spurt that's going to happen, and you could get in at the bottom and purchase a property and watch the value grow, watch your ability for the increase of the income to grow, because the rents will go up, and it may be a building that you walk by every day.
You're absolutely right, and that's a great point, Charliine and Yolanda. I'm going to give you 2 nuggets right now.
Okay. Two cities this
that
is
you
why I love
really need to take a look at. You have to. You got to look at. You sit down with some of these the economic development department in different cities. You find out what's coming down the pipeline.
That's right.
And then you plan ahead. You beat the curve. Right. You're ahead of the curve. You look at Inglewood, for example.
Yeah.
Right. Pretty soon, I don't know if people will be able to afford to live in certain parts of Inglewood because they're talking about the stadium coming there.
That's absolutely right.
There's a football stadium they're talking about coming to Inglewood. Right? You got to look at those things and say, this is going to force the appreciation up.
That's right.
Right? It's going to bring in consumers. It's going to bring in businesses. It's going to bring in travel. You look along the metro line to see where they're developing at. You see in Baldwin Hills area that they're building there. Those are value plays. Those are areas you have to look at, and you're staying ahead of the curve. Look at Hawthorne, for example. Yes. They're going to be doing major redevelopment along Hawthorne Boulevard, right? Areas in Hawthorne. It's not rent control.
That's right.
You can find some great properties for a decent price right now. Inglewood, you can do the same.
That's right.
I would imagine 5 to 10 years from now, you will not be able to find those same great deals. At least 5 years.
I believe that.
It's going to come down the pipeline. If you take a look at downtown Los Angeles, I remember when you walked down there, it was pretty scary.
Yes.
Right now you have the Staples Centers, you have LA Live, you have all these places down there.
Yeah,
they have mixed use.
That's right. They have all these mixed use properties. It's just booming down there. Yeah. And like you said, 10 years ago, it wasn't the same. The same thing happened in Long Beach. Yeah. The properties along the water.
The Pike
area. I remember back years ago, I had a friend who purchased a condo for $40,000 right along the Pike, and 5 years later sold it for $500,000.
Yes.
So like I said, you can walk by a building every day, and it could be the right one to purchase for what you're getting into, because you're looking at it from a business perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
As an investor. Now you are a business person. I'll tell you a quick story. My nephew fell into his first income property, and I said fell into because he's in the military, and he bought a property in North Carolina, and he called me and he said, "Do you think I should buy this?" And I said, "Absolutely, purchase." So he and his family, they bought this property, and so 2.5 years later, he got stationed on the West Coast. And so he called me, he said, "What am I supposed to do with this property?" I said, "Rent it out." And he said, but I think I need to sell it. And I said, "No, rent it out." So he got together with a real estate professional. They rented the property out for him. And that's a little nugget. When you go to rent your property out, instead of renting it to a friend, get a real estate professional to lease that property or rent it out for you, so that because you're an investor, okay, to help you with that too. But that might be another show. But anyway, so you
want to get the right person in there that qualifies, that'll be able to make sure that they can afford.
The payment is made, right. Mm-hmm. And so he got the right person in there with the professional that he used, and now he's purchasing a property in Arizona. So I said, and now you are, right, exactly. So now you have an investment property. And he was like, "Wow, that's true." But sometimes, you plan your life the way you want it to go.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And you bring the professionals in that can help you get there.
Yes.
Right.
You cannot do it alone. It's a partnership.
Yes.
Right.
So again, please give us your phone number.
Sure. Again, Yolanda Williams. And my phone number is 562-755-3123. That number again is 562-755-3123.
And my number is 562-755-1602. That's 562-755-1602. And you can email us at ykellywilliams@kw.com. That's the letter Y, kellywilliams@kw.com.
Wonderful. You're listening to Accelerated Radio Praise, 24-hour gospel music and talk. You can call us at 323-238-0445 with questions and comments. We're at acceleratedradio.net. And this is Miss Charliene, and you're tuned in to Lunch with the Finance Bunch. And this is a lot of great information.
It really is. We're excited.
Absolutely. Okay, so now we're talking about commercial properties and how we can get into those. So Yolanda we purchased a condo.
Yes.
And we moved from the condo into
a townhome. And
we rented out that condo.
Correct.
And we have some residual income coming in from that condo.
Correct.
We also took some money out of that condo to put down on that townhouse. Okay, so now we're in the townhouse and life is lovely.
Yes.
And Yolanda's not going to stop there, Abraham. we are happy with our condo, with our townhouse, and Yolanda has bigger plans.
She
and
does.
So then Yolanda talked to Abe about moving from the townhouse to
the
duplex. And so the townhouse, you were comfortable in that townhouse, you right?
I was very comfortable where I was each step. Yeah.
And then the duplex you moved into, now you have someone living in the building with you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. And so you lived there for a while.
Yes.
And then Yolanda said, "Hey, time to go."
Time to go.
And so you moved from there into
our single
family residence.
That's the one with the fleas.
That was the one with the fleas. Now you went from being comfortable in your condo to comfortable in your townhouse to comfortable in your duplex. Now you're in a flea infested home.
And she's trying to tell me this is the vision.